future. He's an author of a different and his area of research are security and development, regional development, cross-border trade and development cooperation, ethnicity and development, and so on. So we are very happy having with us Professor Gurudas Das. So without delaying time, I would like to hand over the mic to our eminent resource person, Professor Gurudas Das. So over to you.
You have to enable me so that I can upload my slide. It is showing that screen sharing is closed. Can
Yes, sir.
you,
Yes, sir. Yes,
can
sir.
you,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you have enabled it now.
Biplab, sir.
Yes, it is okay now. I have opened the
Yeah,
screen.
it is working. Wait. It is not working here. Just a moment. Can you see my slides?
Sir, it is blank. White blank, totally.
Oh, but I have shared the screen and then I have opened my slides in the computer. What to do now? Should I reload it? Wait a
I think,
minute.
sir, you should try it again, sir, from the beginning.
None of the slides you can see, is it?
The slides are not
Sir,
visible.
Okay.
sir,
I'll
please,
stop sharing and
yeah,
I'll stop sharing and reload
Stop
again.
sharing and try it again, sir.
Okay.
yes, sir. So the option is at the right bottom corner, sharing. Click there.
Yeah, I am doing that. Wait a minute. Can you see now the slides?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
it is visible now.
Sir,
It is visible now.
Yes, yes, it is visible now.
Okay, let us begin. You can see my slides if I run them. Uh, you can see, na? If I run the slides, it changes in your
yes, sir.
place. Okay, let us begin it. Okay, let us begin it. Right? So, the idea of this, deliberation is to find a common ground across the discipline, whether it is basic science, humanities, social science, engineering, or commerce. One thread that is common to all types of research is that we are all trying to understand this. Wait a minute, let me go to slideshow mode. Is the slide bigger now? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
Yes, yeah.
so we are all facing one empirical world before us. So this empirical world that we face, all types of research, irrespective of discipline, is to understand this. What is this empirical world, and how can we make sense of the empirical world in which we live? Just a moment. Hello. Yeah, I am in a class. Call me later. So, all types of research that we do, wait a minute, that we do, our idea is to capture, understand the empirical world. Now you can see the cosmos at the back, and you can see the physical world, the globe is there. Now, apart from this, we are also living in a social world. So, all types of research enterprise, their primary goal is to find out the inner laws, the patterns, how this objective reality is functioning, to understand it in a better way. Whether it is cosmic world, whether it is physical world, whether it is social world. So everywhere the idea is to explain the objective reality or the empirical world. Now see what happens. The real world which is before us, which we are trying to explain, we perceive the real world. It comes to, and through our perception, so it comes to human mind. And as per the perception, we do some construction. So all types of research, they deal with the real world, they observe it, they see the pattern, they collect data, find out the causality, and these events that are taking place in the cosmos, in the physical world, or in the social world, every moment, endless number of events are taking place. And all these events are called protocols, which we call the domain of protocols. Now, the word protocols here has nothing to do the way we use the word protocol in international relations. That is the etiquettes, right? That if a prime minister of a country visits another country, that host country prime minister should come and receive the guest prime minister. This is a protocol. So we are not talking about that kind of protocol. It is a philosophical word that whatever is happening, the real world events are called protocols, and this is called P domain. And these events that are taking place, we observe them, we try to understand them, we try to look into the pattern that is emerging out of these events, and then we construct theories in order to explain the reality. So all types of research it is an enterprise of a correspondence between P domain to C domain. C domain is the domain of constructs, it is the domain of theory. So whether it is social science or it is natural science or whatever may be, right? So this is the mapping from P domain to C domain is basically the research enterprise. Now, while we do that, now what happened? The elements in P domain, this P domain, the protocols are matters of observation. We can observe the events, we can observe what is happening. And in the C domain, these are based on the observation, we construct our theories. So C domain deals with constructs are matter of imagination, the way we perceive it. The word imagination is our perception. The P domain, it has no organization of its own. Events that are taking place in the cosmos, events that are taking place in the physical world or in the social world, these events are not themselves organized. We observe them, we organize them, then we systematize them, and we try to understand, is there any logical connection between the events or not? If we can say that, okay, X causes Y, then I am establishing a kind of causality between X and Y. So establishment of that causality between X and Y, X is an event and another Y is an event. Say X is very sunny day and Y is a rainy day. So if it is too much hot and too much sunny, so there will be a rain. So what happens? I am trying to establish some causality. So all theories, they try to establish the cause and effect, the causality, whether it is natural science, social science. If I increase the pressure, what happens to the volume? If I increase the temperature, what happens to the volume? So I try to understand the causality between different kind of observation, different kinds of events, and try to develop a theory. Now the P domain, it is by definition directly observable. We can directly observe all the events that are taking place around us. But in theoretical domain, the C domain, the events are not observable. We may connect them logically, it may not be directly observable. So P domain, it is inexact. Many events are taking place. Some are connected with some other. Some are not connected with some other. All types of causality and connections and their association we don't know. But when we know and construct a theory, theory becomes exact. So basically, the research enterprise is nothing but establishing a correspondence or trying to establish a mapping from the P domain to C domain. So this is basically the one kind of thing. And this exercise we do for the physical world in natural science and engineering. One can say that engineering is the applied aspect of the natural science. We do it in social science, right? So we do it in humanities. In humanities, when author writes a novel, so he observes the society, he observes the character, and he wants to construct, using his imagination, how these characters will interplay and how they will reveal one existing social reality. So we capture them in different disciplines, in different knowledge domains, and across the knowledge domains, the mapping of this correspondence between P domain to C domain is basically the research. Now, if we look at, we are dealing with social science, And social science is nothing but, if we remove the social, if we remove the natural, it is basically a science. If it deals with natural world, it is a physical science, natural science. If it deals with the social entities, it is social science. So basically both are science. Now what is science is all about? Science is an enterprise which attempts to develop systematic secular knowledge about reality that is somehow validated empirically. So this is a very, very strong, way of defining what is science. That anything which is scientific knowledge must be validated empirically. And another way of telling it, that what is science, that this is science attempts to secure and advance objective knowledge about reality on the basis of empirical findings as opposed to speculation. So we are not speculating. We are trying to understand the reality. So it attempts to secure and advance objective knowledge about the reality. We are studying the reality and we are dealing with objective knowledge. We are not dealing with speculation. And our intention is to learn the truth and not to invent or intuit the truth. We are not inventing the truth. We are not intuition we use, but intuition based on objective, knowledge. So this is how one can see what science is. Now, to understand that basically the research is all about that we acquire knowledge, and the discipline, the subject that deals with knowledge is called epistemology. And this field of epistemology has two broad, theoretical domains. One is the theory of being, that is the ontological domain. Another is the theory of knowledge. Now, these two things together, they constitute the domain of epistemology, or the field of knowledge that we have. Now we shall explain these two things in a very brief and sketchy manner. What is this theory of being? Now there are a number of approaches to say that what is the reality? Is it what I see is true, or what I see is a deception? So how do we see what is true and what is not? That is dealt by theory of being, and there are two principal schools of thought. One is idealism, one is realism. And in the theory of knowledge, we shall deal with two principal schools of thought: empiricism and rationalism. Now coming to the theory of being, or the theory of ontology. Now, as we say, that there are two main things. There are so many other sub-branches and all. We shall be dealing with only these two, idealism and realism. Now, in theory of being, we asked this kind of question: what can be said to exist? Descartes raised this issue, right? That do I exist? Now, what is a thing? What it is actually, how it is, how much it is, where it is, all these questions, we question everything, whatever we see. We try to establish the existence of an event, existence of a fact, existence of a reality, using the theory of being. Now let us come to the theory of idealism. What idealism says? It says the external world that we see is only the projection of our mind. Look, very, very strong statement. What I don't know, to me, it does not exist. Identification of objects with ideas. You know that all objects, we give it a name. This is a book, this is a pen, this is a house, this is a table, everything we name. Can you think about a world all around you, objects are there, and the objects don't have any name? So what we do, we give a name, we name a river, name a mountain, we even name a cyclone because we want to distinguish it from others. So by naming everybody in the real world, the world becomes very sweet, very convenient to understand. It carries meaning with us. Every flower we name, every fruit we name, every person we name, every animal we name, right? By naming things, we create a known world. Now we shall be coming to that. That if I don't know the name, does it mean that matter does not exist? We'll be coming to that a little bit later. Now look at the third point. The reality as consisting in or depending upon minds or ideas. No material objects or external realities exist apart from our knowledge or our consciousness of them. The whole universe thus being dependent on the mind. This is basically the Hegelian position. You know that great philosopher Hegel. So he is the highest manifestation of the school of thought of idealism. So in a sense, idealism says that mind is before the matter. Matter exists because I know the matter. If I don't know, it does not exist. So that is the position the idealist, schools of thought, they take it. Now look at this picture. To make our deliberations a little bit lively and making in a dialogue form, can you tell me what is this picture all about? Can anybody identify what is this picture? Anybody? Anybody can identify the picture? I can see the name. I can see Kallani Bhattacharya. Madam, are you there? Kallani Bhattacharya. Okay. I can see
Is it
Mukesh.
black hole, sir? Is it the black hole?
Okay, this is one. I can see Mukesh Nepal is there. Mukesh, can you guess? Your guess may be right, may be wrong, it doesn't matter. Mukesh, can you tell me what is this picture all about? Any idea? Mukesh? Okay. I can see there is N.C. Sharma. Mr. N.C. Sharma, are you there? If you respond, it becomes, your interaction becomes lively, right? If you don't respond, it becomes only, one-way deliberations.
Sir, it looks like a burnt plate.
Okay, burnt plate. So it's okay, we have got two, answers. So this is a picture of galaxy taken from this, that telescope, which is very powerful, right? With NASA and all, right? So this is a galaxy. Now, if I show you the picture a little bit from closer, this picture will be looking like that. That is taken from far distance. Now distance is less, more closer picture. You will automatically understand, okay, this is a galaxy. So now, if we don't know the name, does it mean galaxy does not exist? What the idealist or idealism, schools, ideal school of thought is telling that if mind does not know, then it does not exist. So if I don't know this is a galaxy, it does not mean that galaxy does not exist. I know because my knowledge, when it comes to closer, I can identify, yes, this is a galaxy. Right? Now, can you tell me what is travertine? Do you have any idea what is travertine? Anybody? Anybody can make a guess? I can see Rashid Usman is there. Rashid, are you there? Can you guess what is this travertine? Of course, nowadays it becomes easier. You Google it, and I don't know, you can see it. Is not it? It is the travertine. So if I don't know, travertine is a kind of stone. One can say limestone. It may be limestone. It may be the white stone that is used to cover the garden path, right? So it looks wonderful. So that is the travertine. That stone is called travertine. If I don't know the name, does it mean that stone does not exist? So the idealism, right? Well, if we take it on the face value, then we have a problem. But it does not mean this idealism has no role to play in our understanding of the real world. We shall be coming to that a little bit later. The point that I am making, that mind is not the only thing. What realism says, that material objects exist externally to us and independently of our sense experience. Even if we have not seen, have not tasted, have not touched, have not felt, right? But still, no objects, material objects exist. It exists independent of our sense experience, just opposite to idealism. So the realism, this school of thought, this philosophy of realism, philosophical school, it says, it takes a position just opposite what Marx took, that you know that Marxian philosophy, that external world, whether we know it or we don't know it, it does not, depend, independent of our sense, our knowing or not knowing, it exists over there. Truth consists in the mind's correspondence to reality. So what happens? I see the objective world, and objective world is the reality. So I make a correspondence in my mind, seeing the objective world, just opposite to Hegelian position. Hegel says it is mind maps the objective world. Objective world is there because mind knows it. And realism says mind knows it because mind sees the objective world in the reality and makes a correspondence from the objective world, and mind perceives it. So physical objects exist independently of their being perceived. Even if we don't perceive it, the objective world is there. So the issue is that, see, this is a picture. You all know what is the picture. Picture is self-explanatory. Can you just tell what you don't see in the picture? There is something which you don't see. Can anybody tell me what is that? I can see Rituraj Borua is there. Rituraj, can you tell me? In this picture, something is there what you cannot see. So Rituraj, can you unmute and speak if you are there? Okay. I could see Rupa Bhattacharya is there.
No, sir, I am not able to recognize it, sir.
Okay, Rituraj is telling he is not able to recognize. But take one more response. Ruma, can you see? There is something which we cannot see
Sir,
in
wind.
this picture. Yeah, you are correct. That Ruma is correct. That from the motion of the picture, you can see wind is blowing. It is a frosty, it is a snow-laden landscape on which the tree is there and the whole tree branches and leaves were all frosted, and you see the strong wind is blowing, and wind you cannot see. That is what exactly the realist school of people were telling. Hey, if you don't see, it does not mean it is not there. But wind can be felt, is not it? Wind can be felt, but in the picture you cannot have the feeling. If you are there in the spot, only then you can feel the wind is blowing. So that way, idealists were telling that if I don't perceive it, no, it is not there. Now, in any case, now this is what. Take one more kind of thing. I could see that Sanjeev is there. Sanjeev, can you tell me what is it?
Sir, it is something the planet is moving around the world.
Moving?
In the sea, sir. Moving
Okay,
water in the sea.
Yeah. Sanjeev is telling it is a kind of tornado kind of thing in the
Yes,
sea.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir.
I could see, take one more response. Tajul Islam is there. Tajul, can you tell me what is it?
Yes, sir. I exactly see these tornado-like these things.
A tornado, correct. You are
Yes,
correct.
sir. Thank you.
Now, this is a black hole. This is a black hole which we cannot see in our open eyes. Right? So, black hole, you know that Stephen Hawking, who has proved the existence of the black hole. Right? So, the physicists, through their calculation and through very powerful telescope and all, they can see this black hole, existence of black hole. But if I don't see in my open eyes, it does not mean that black hole does not exist. Right? Now, see, if I ask you a question, what is Karkras? Now, just this is the last thing. I could see one Tarun Chaudhary is there. Tarun, have you heard this? What is Karkras? Tarun, can you tell us? Tarun, okay, Tarun, you can unmute and speak. And I can see there is Ujjwal Bhuya. Ujjwal, you have any idea what is Karkras? Okay. We are not getting any response, it's fine. So Karkras is the smallest desert in Canada, 1 square kilometer. So I don't know it. I have never visited it. Does it mean it doesn't exist? So the realism, school of realism, what they are telling, right? That even if we don't know objective world exists. Now let's take, to make sense of it, we all know, those who particularly live in this part of the world in eastern India, this is the goddess of Durga. And you see, the idea, this goddess of Durga is an imagination. The imagination, it is a god. We imagine the god. So ordinary man or woman, they have 2 hands. If you want to make a person more powerful, what do? You make 10 hands. So, but you cannot imagine a god, the shape of a god, what you have not seen. This is in our knowledge. We have seen man and woman. And Durga is a feminine gender, and we have put, instead of 2 hands, 10 hands to show it. Similarly, Brahma, right? So instead of 1 head, we put 3 head, Now, it is nothing that it has something to do with our religion. I am talking about the imagination. We have imagined the God. So to make him powerful, we have added more head and more hands. So this is the picture of Ravana. To make him more powerful, we have added more heads. This is the Ganesha. Elephant exists in nature and man exists in nature. We punch them together, we made it. The issue I am telling, the imagination. You cannot imagine anything that you have not seen. That has to be in your perception. The objective world, the way you see, you can scale it up based on your imagination. But your imagination forms from the basic things. So that's why, we don't have any, imagination of God that we have imagined more powerful. That can be something new which we have not seen. So what the realism is telling, the reality is over there. And through our sense perceptions, right, we perceive the reality. And in our mind, if there are 10 people, if they see the same thing, but they perceive 10 different things. Now, in a classroom, there are 50 boys. A teacher is taking a class. 50 boys will perceive the content of the lecture in 50 different ways, depending on their concentration, their imagination, depending on so many other things, their previous perception and knowledge, depending on many things. 50 people can see the same thing, listen the same thing, watch the same thing, but perceive in 50 different ways. So our perception varies. Reality remains the same, but perception of the realities are many. So individual perception of the reality is different. So that's why the realism is telling that you cannot perceive anything unless it is there in the reality. You can only scale it up. If you are a farsighted man, you can see what will happen in the world after 1 month. If you are more farsighted, you can see what will happen in the world or in your country after 1 year. If you are more farsighted, you can see what will happen after 10 years. And people having more foresight, they can see what will happen after 100 years. But you cannot see for all the days to come what will happen in the world. So every idea has a limit, spatio-temporal limit, right? No idea can transcend all the time to come, right? And that is the issue why, why the thought, faith groups becomes fundamental. Because you cannot, what has been said in Gita, what has been said in Quran, what has been said in Bible. So if you think that that is the final thing and that cannot be changed, that goes against the scientific thinking. That no idea, whoever is the big man perceives it, express it, it has always it is limited by the time. Right? So after certain time, those ideas need to be changed and all, need to be accommodated. If you don't allow new interpretation, new things to incorporate, you become fundamental. That's why, much of our people have become very, very, intolerant, right? So that's apart from this is another issue. Now you see, we are talking about the idealism and realism. Idealism says mind it first. Mind is mapped into the matter. And then, abstract idea, what you have in mind, that can identify the physical object. So, and as you have seen, that how we perceive things. Now see, this is a picture of a ball. Now you see a ball in the reality. how a person perceives the ball. The ball is before me. The you know beams of light is emanating from the ball all around, and I can see through my eyes there are lens, and through that lens, these beams are going and getting into my, this thing retina, and from that retina, through optic nerve, it is going to my brain. If I have seen a ball earlier, I will be immediately able to understand the pattern, the size, the color, and all these things. And I will be able to understand, okay, this is a ball. This is how we perceive. The human perception, you can see that we have individual consciousness, whatever we have seen around, and our brain has more capacity than what we have currently perceived. That is, we can go on perceiving more and more. Our brain can store it. And whatever we have seen right from our birth, right from the womb of my mother, whatever I have listened, learned, sound, and other things, right? All these create the ground consciousness. So whatever we have in the ground consciousness, all we cannot immediately recall. What we can immediately recall is the individual consciousness. And then brain, our subconscious mind, is there in the brain. And we can recall from there. And beyond that also we have consciousness that is called ground consciousness. So through all perceiving the reality, we develop our consciousness. And by recalling that consciousness, through that we verify the object that we perceive now. And we see whether I know it or I don't know it. So you can see that what idealism is stating, the mind is first, how the perceived ideas, thoughts, imaginations, how these are stored and created our consciousness. It is through the observation of reality. So this is how neither we go and become totally idealist while we do our, observe the objective reality or the empirical world. We use both. We use both realism and we use idealism both. How these two can be juxtaposed, how these two can be synchronized, right? To understand the process, how we, explain and capture and identify the objective reality. Now see the reality. Reality, a arrow is going to our senses. A reality is perceived through senses. It is not only our five senses what we are talking about. Apart from that five, we have cognitive senses. Through any kind of senses, we perceive the reality. And it goes to our mind. Mind means our brain. And there it forms ideas. It remains as a preconceived notions. It remains as a knowledge. It remains as a, in our subconscious mind and in our ground level consciousness. And when we see a new thing, we always call back from our mind. Have I seen it earlier? Just in my mind like a computer. In a fraction of a moment, I run the pattern. Have I seen this thing? Okay, I have seen this thing. So this is a ball. So immediately I explain, okay, I have seen this and this is this. So this is how both the mind and our senses work. This is how we, juxtapose both the idealism and realism while we perceive the reality, right? So in the reality, whatever we are doing an empirical work or we are doing a objective, any kind of laboratory work, whatever may be, we are observing facts. We observe facts and then we establish the pattern. Then we find out the, if there is any, law that governs that pattern. Can I go for that X causes Y, that kind of thing. So this is how, it works. Now this is all about this thing. Now we have another 15 minutes time, and we will be dealing with, we are not in a hurry, right? We will be dealing with this epistemology, the second part of it, the theory of knowledge, right? In this theory of knowledge, there are different sub branches, but there are two main branches. One is called empiricism, philosophy of empiricism, another is philosophy of rationalism, right? So let us have a look here. Now, apart from empiricism, rationalism, there is another school of thought that calls about pragmatism, authority, then relevance. We are not going into that. Let us straight away come to empiricism. Now, the main thing in empiricism is that if you are a hardcore empiricist, you say that all knowledge is derived from experience on the grounds, either that experience on the ground, either that all that we know is directly concerned with the sense experience. You know, we have five senses. All that we know is dependent on sense experience, in that all the materials for knowledge are directly derived from sense experience. All that we know is dependent on sense perception, in that even though we know something a priori, this is only a relative sense, since the having of experience in general precondition of having the knowledge. So whatever may be, in one line, if something is to be known, we call it knowledge, then I must have an experience about that. Now, if I say, oh, it is so hot, you verify my statement. You feel, are you feeling hot? If you are not in AC room, and you immediately verify, yes, you are true, right? So, empiricism, if you are a hardcore empiricist, now take one small example. If I say, what is the color of the slide? What is the background color of the slide? What will be your answer? You are seeing the slide. I can see Shobir Devvarma is there. Shobir, what is the color of the slide? Can you tell me? Can you unmute and speak, Shobir? Okay. Shobir is not responding. So let me see. I can see Shukla there, Shukla Shaha. Shukla, can you tell me what is the color of the slide? Anybody?
Sir,
Anybody?
sir, it is
White and
sir, is
some
it S color?
It is white. Is not it? Color of the slide, background. I am not telling color of the letters written. Text I am not telling. Color of the slide, you are seeing that it is white. But if you are a hardcore empiricist, your statement will be, I can see the front side of the slide. And I can say for sure that front side of the slide is white. I don't know the back side. Right? What you can see, only that much you will be telling. You cannot generalize that if the front side is white, back side will also be white. That you cannot say. Are you getting my point or not? So a hardcore empiricist will be telling only that much what can be verifiable using the sense organ. Now it means that which I can prove to my senses is true. I have five senses, right? Through that five senses, we gather the knowledge, right? Through seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, is not it? We gather the knowledge. So these are the human sensory system. And we have these 5 organs, and to nose, tongue, eyes, skin, ears, we have different activity we do. Now it says, empiricism says, you have a real object, and this object is perceived by your sensory organs, and then it goes to your brain or mind, whatever you say, and then in the mind you check with your previous experience, and then you perceive the reality, right? Now what is the nature of this empirical sense, empirical knowledge that we gather through sense organs? What is the nature of that knowledge, empirical knowledge? Now if I say, forget it. Now come here, that sensory truths are obvious. If I say that how many fingers I have, you count it. So you can see that I have 5 fingers. So this sensory truth is obvious. There is no ambiguity in it. And sensory truths are objective truths. You can see them. Object, you can see them. It establishes correspondence with the objective reality. We interact with our environment through our sensory systems. And sensory truths, where I have gone, okay. Let me see. Now this picture, many of you have seen. Can I ask Tarun to tell me what is this picture all about? Tarun Chaudhary. Tarun, if you are there, can you tell me what is this? Okay. So anybody is there who can tell me what is it? I can see Nandini Barma. Nandini, can you tell me what is the picture you are seeing?
Sir, I think it is a picture of rope.
What you are thinking?
Picture of rope.
Rope. You are correct. You are correct, because these things are. So it apparently looks, if you have not seen this picture earlier in the internet, right? So this is kind of students, they play this kind of jokes by using this kind of picture. So in hostels and all, boys know that this is not a snake, this is a rope, but it looks like snake. So if anybody can feel that it is a snake, so what I see through my sensory organ, it may not be the truth. Question is that the empirical school is telling knowledge must be verified by the sensory organs. But where is the guarantee that sensory organs should be giving the true knowledge? Now look, what is it? Just anybody? Mukesh, can you tell me? I can see Mukesh is there.
Sir, it
Mukesh,
is
can
cloud.
you tell me what is it? Huh?
Sir, it is cloud.
It is a cloud. I take one more Nobel Dashan is there. Anybody? Okay.
It looks like an island.
Island. You are correct. It looks like that. Right? Now basically, what do you call in desert? What is the name where you see the water? What do you call it? In desert, there is no water. But
Oasis.
you look like it looks like water. What is the English name for that? Murichika? Sanjeev? What is the word for this Murichika? That really does not exist. But from far up place you can see it. Like a hallucination. There is another word in English, right?
Is it oasis?
It looks like oasis, but it's a hallucination, right? It does not exist really. In desert, from far off places you look like that there is a water and there is this kind of thing, a kind of oasis. But you go near, nothing is there. It keeps on going far and far and far. Hallucination, right? So what I am telling, even if I see this one, right, my eyes, are not telling the truth. Sensory organs, there is no guarantee that truth acquired by sensory organs will be unfallible. Now, this is the last picture I am telling you. Can you tell me, this picture is clicked from where? Is it a picture? It is a art? It is a photograph? What it is? Anybody? What it is? Papri, can you tell me? I can see Papri is there. Can you tell me what is this?
Yes, sir. I think, yes, sir. I think it's a photograph.
What is it? It is
Upward
photograph.
position.
It is, yeah, it looks like a photograph. Yeah. So basically it is an art, right? It is not a photograph. But the art is so perfect. It looks like a photograph. So what I see, there is nothing because of the changeability of the world of sense. Now see, I have grown old. I cannot see without spect. Right? I have grown old. My, senses have gone down. Right? My sense organs are not as active as when I was young. So, sensory truths, right? There is no guarantee. That's why we are telling that because of the changeability of the world of sense, the world of sense changes. When I was at the age of 18 or 20 or 30, my senses were very sharp. And at the age of 63, so my sense is not that sharp. So, sensory world changes. Sense knowledge lacks the certainty and infallibility that true knowledge requires. So, that is the point I wanted to make. What the empirical school is telling. So, sensory truths are not infallible. Now, we don't have much time. We will be not dealing with detail of these things, right? Let's skip all these things. Let us come to rationalism. Rationalism is just opposite to empiricism. Rationalism is telling that truth is not sensory. Truth can be derived intellectually through deduction. It is not sensory truths that is the source of knowledge. It is the reason that is the source of knowledge. All mathematics, all geometry, all are based on your, reason. All of our knowledge, even sensory knowledge, right? As I see that, okay, I am studying in my room. My window is open. Now, my mother came at night before she went to bed and she kept a glass of water on my table and told, son, when you go to bed, take the milk, milk and, go to bed. And suddenly I heard a noise. And I raised my head from my book I was reading. I see my milk is spilling out, right? And I see a sound and I don't see anything else. I see a cat is running at that side. I have not seen the cat pushing the glass of the milk. If I am a hardcore empiricist, I will be telling I cannot blame the cat. I did not see the cat spilling the milk. But if I am a rationalist, I will say there is nobody else around. I saw the cat running and I saw my milk spilling. So it is nothing else but that cat has done this spoil. So I can add 1 plus 1, 2. So the issue is that when we study, we do research, whether about our social world, about our natural world, any world, right? Neither we follow 100% empiricism nor 100% rationalism. We try to fuse both empiricism and rationalism. I know rationalism is basically a theoretical construct, the reasoning. And theories are nothing but the reasoning. And from theory, I deduce the hypothesis. And that hypothesis I test against the empirical, facts. I collect data from the empirical world and test it and find out whether the reason the theory is giving that holds good or not. What basically I am doing, I am using both empiricism and rationalism. What Kant called about this criticism. So a researcher has to adopt a critical philosophical position. Neither hardcore empiricist nor hardcore rationalist, but combining both, adopting an approach of criticism. And this is where I want to come. We need to wind up. Now, when we do the criticism, basically, we use our intuition. When I frame the hypothesis, I have not corrected the data, I have not done the systematic study, I will be doing it. Hypothesis is, before I do it, I have hypothesized that X causes Y. Because I have seen many of the events and I apply my intuition, my hunch. So intuition plays a very important role, right, in doing or framing hypotheses, right, and doing research. This intuition can be based on sense intuition or it can be based on intellectual intuition. It can be both. If it is reading my theory, if I adopt my hypothesis, it is intellectual intuition, and looking at the physical world, if I frame my hypothesis, it is a sense intuition. If it is based on sense intuition, it is called agnosticism. Now, just this is my last slide and we are right at 12. I have to end now. Now, this is what my content is. That philosophical foundation of social science research or any kind of research, it involves three things: theory of being, theory of knowledge, and our intuition. Putting these three together, we undertake our research enterprise. And research enterprise means establishing correspondence between the empirical world of P domain to C domain, or C domain to P domain. If you are doing your research from the theories, you derive your hypothesis. From C domain, you are taking your hypothesis and validating that hypothesis against the P domain. You are establishing a contact, a correspondence between C domain to P domain. If you are establishing your hypothesis from looking at the objective world, then you are taking your hypothesis from the P domain and you are verifying this against the existing theories and you are making the correspondence from P domain to C domain. So it is a both way exercise in the research enterprise, what we intend to do. I think I must stop. It is now 1 o'clock, right? Is that okay? So if there is any question, I don't think there is any more scope, but you can put me these questions in my, if you have any in my email ID or anywhere organizers will be giving, I will, be able to respond to your queries. Okay? Thanks a lot. Okay. I close it here. Yeah.
Thank, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We have been listening to Professor Gurudas Das, sir, and he has nicely explained the different parts on the topic, and he has incorporated different theories also: theory of idealism and realism, ground consciousness to individual consciousness, and the theory of rationalism. Nicely, he has pulled everyone together throughout the session. So a lot of thanks to you. Thank you so much once again. We are ending this session. We'll meet in the next session at sharp 2 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We will begin the next session after 1 hour. And with the same link, you can just be on. Thank you.